let's bring on our last guest, and let me see if I can find that. And for TiON Inc. Now, we've been making lots of noise here, and this host here in particular could be using some of your products. I know our viewers are listening and say, can't you put a muzzle on that guy? And I think you guys would be the ones to do it. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. It's my first time, and I'm excited about it. Well, TiON, we've been in the suppressor business for a better part of 14 years. We really do things differently than others. We're a dealer direct manufacturer. We don't use wholesale channels. We believe in a relationship with a dealer that is competent in what we're selling, because what we manufacture, we do things, as an example, our rifle suppressors, with the exception of one, are machined from a solid bar of titanium. No one on the planet does that but us. We eliminate all wells. Everything is precision machines, fits together like a Swiss watch. Every suppressor is the same as the previous one. Whenever you weld up suppressors, you have variables. Anybody that knows about welding, when you weld something, the pieces move. So by definition, one model, you could have 20 of them, and they'll each one be different, slightly different. So they perform slightly different. Ours are consistent from start to finish. We have our own unique quick attach system that people love, total repeatability with it. So it's a number of innovations. We have a patented baffle system in our rimfire and our centerfire pistol that you can index the baffles for different pressure platforms. As an example, a pistol has a higher pressure than a rifle, so the baffles perform differently, producing different sounds with the different pressure levels. And so you can articulate the baffles internal. Everything we make is serviceable. You can take it apart, unscrew it, and change the baffles around in the pistol and the rimfire. So it makes it totally serviceable. If somebody has a bad threading job and they get a baffle strike, we can take it apart, just change that part. No problem.
So, Scott, I was reaching out to Michelle in the background, our producer. She's going to keep us honest here, because we understand we've got to let you out right before the end of the hour here, or the beginning of the next hour, because you are going on a conference call with a group of people at the CanCon. Now, I think perhaps, I don't know if, I know we've been to CanCon, but I think our viewers haven't. This is a great place for people to come and try your products. Isn't that right?
It is. They have an East Coast and a West Coast, and we're getting ready for a new location on the East Coast. Recoil Magazine puts this on, Recoil system of marketeers. They put this on. And so they've changed locations. This year it's in Clinton, South Carolina, and it's a larger venue. It's gotten so big that they needed to increase the size. It is a really amazing thing. People can come up to any of these manufacturers of suppressors, and they can get in line. They can try different platforms, get to hear what it sounds like, all the nuances. They can talk to people, touch it, feel it. And so we've done this now, East and West Coast, and it's really exciting.
Now, Maggie, what do you think about now when you're competing? I hear things going bang, bang, bang. But what about for beginning shooters that are just learning? Don't you think that there's some advantage offered by noise suppression?
Absolutely. I mean, just in terms of hearing protection, and it's so commonplace in Europe and in other places of the world where it's just strictly a health issue and a safety issue is to protect your hearing and protect hearing loss. And I wish we still had our previous guests. We'll have to bring them back on just to get a little bit of an update on what's going on with the National Hearing Protection Act. But maybe that's something that, you can speak to as well, because it's something that we need to really think about. I don't use them in competition, but I certainly see their value in other applications. And it would be great if we had access to them and ready access to them and didn't have to jump through these arbitrary hoops. Where they just make things so complicated for us to access products that are really beneficial and are really just about safety.
Hey, Scott, what about hunters using noise suppression devices?
Well, you have 42 states that it's legal to. Oh, it's wrong, Scott. Excuse me. Go ahead.
That's all right. No,
we're going to have a confusion here having two Scotts.
No, I hunt with a suppressor. Yep, I hunt with a suppressor. So yeah, go for it. Yeah, you got it, Scott.
There's 42 states that it's legal to possess them, and there was 41 states. I think the 42nd one's now legal also to hunt with them. So hunting is a big deal. Think about the dad who's in a tree stand and he's got his little child or his young child with him, and he wants to introduce him to hunting, and and he's not old enough to shoot yet, but he wants him to understand this world of hunting. And if you don't have hearing protection on, he's saying to the boy, as an example, listen for the deer, listen for the deer. You can't do that with things stuck in your head. And then the deer comes up, wham! Now you just hurt your kid's hearing. But if you have a suppressor on, you haven't, and it's a much different environment.
Yes, and I've had instances where I've been out hunting and had my hearing protection on, and had someone walk out with it. If I didn't have my hearing protection, I would have clearly heard them breaking twigs, sticks, and everything else, and cutting grass, and I would have heard them pull out, come out into my area, but I didn't because I had earmuffs on. And I hunt with suppressor where I live. It's legal, and it's something that is just makes things a lot easier because you can hear everything and you know exactly what's going on around you at the time you shoot.
Yeah. Hey, Maggie, Three Gun Kinsey is one of our influencers, and she uses our suppressors on her guns in competition.
I love that. Love that. She's so sweet. I just wanted to piggyback on what Scott said, though. I do the opposite. In my hunting, I often go without hearing protection. And oh my gosh, it's scary afterwards because you fire a shot. And then I've been in situations where my ears are ringing and it's so loud and then I can't hear afterwards. So it really is something that if you have the opportunity to use it for hunting, I mean, that's just a great application for it. But I would like to see more of it in competition. It'd be super fun. And I'm going to have to check out Three Gun Kenzie and see what she's up to recently.
Yeah, she'll be happy to talk to you about it.
Yeah, and one of the things also to think about is in home defense and any other situation like that. I mean, like if you have whatever firearm it is that you use to defend your home, having a suppressor on that, because you're not going to go find Ear Pro or anything before you get up and check if somebody is in your living room or in your kitchen or your garage or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's just one of those things that you're going that every adult runs into, sometime in their life, having to go out and check things and see stuff like that. And it just adds a level of safety.
Yeah, I would argue that the hunters are the minority of shooters. I mean, they're not the majority. The majority are people that own a firearm. They train pistols, rifles, enjoyed shooting, their personal protection. It's all about that. They're not out to go hunting. So I see and have always seen more people outside the hunting world use suppressors than inside. Anywhere you shoot, you should have this. We kind of joke about it. People ask me sometimes, what I do, what do I manufacture? I tell them I make medical devices because they're hearing protection. So this is all about hearing protection. So I'm a medical device maker.
Well, that's very good.
Love it.
And you need a good lobbyist for that. What are we looking at here on the screen?
These are 7.62 suppressors. We have, these are quick disconnect type. We have also direct attach suppressors. So this is a mini size and then a medium size and a long one. They're better for different calibers. For instance, the long one on the bottom, they're called dragoons. In our world, the rifle suppressors are dragoons. Grenadiers are pistol suppressors, and Minuteman is our rimfire. So these dragoons are 7.62 dragoons, and they each have a specific name. But the longest one is used for up to those Magnum loads. We say 22 long rifle to 300 Weatherby Magnum. Then you get the mid-size, and it's up to like 6.5 Creedmoor. The small one is up to like 308. And what you're seeing in the picture there is a direct attach one underneath a forearm, and that's one of our minis. And it looks like in a 5.56, but we also have them for things like 300 Blackout and others. So you name it. We've got a suppressor that pretty much accommodates. We are the smallest diameter in the industry, to my knowledge, for rifle suppressors. We're 1 3/8. Normally, you're seeing 1.5 to 1 5/8, that kind of thing. We do make some 1 3/4 inch ones for 338 Lapua and 50 caliber, but that's each one has a different kind of an application, and there's a lot of crossover in calibers. Certain ones, people like 7.62 suppressors. That's one of our Grenadiers. 7.62 suppressor because you can shoot 5.56 and 22 caliber things through it also. So people like to get the most bang for the buck, play on that, and that's certain calibers
or the
allow
least
you to
bang for the buck.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and since they work on each of the firearms, but is there much of a sound loss? You know, is it louder if you shoot on a 5.56 versus a 7.62? Like if you hit
Yes.
7.62 on a 5.56,
Right.
is it a little bit louder maybe, but still
Well,
manageable?
we have good examples of that. We have a 7.5-inch suppressor that is both in 5.56 model and then a 7.62. If you were to put your 7.62 of the same length on a 5.56, it's going to suppress it down to its hearing state, but it's not going to. It's going to be a few decibels louder than the 5.56 suppressor on a 5.56. So we have a longer 7.62 by 2 inches, and it will give you the same performance as a 7.5-inch on the 5.56. So I don't want to lose people on all this, but the point is you can make up for a little of that loss depending on what model you pick by a little extra length and blast chamber and baffle arrangement, things like that.
Yeah.
So what's the process now? We don't go into Walmart and just buy a suppressor. I guess. Wait a minute. I guess I'm confused again. You know, this happens all the time. You know, you get these elderly guys trying to run a TV show, and you know they get all confused. I don't understand this here. Like, this is a piece of metal, and why can't it hang and be bought at Walmart? Now that's where I'm confused, because
if you're
there's no bullets. It's not dangerous to anybody. Why do we have to go through some special licensing? Could you explain it, Scott Morris?
Well, in a greater world, looking at the planet, there are lots of places on this planet where it's considered a courtesy of noise pollution, things like that, and there's no regulations on that. You go into a hardware store and you can buy it. This country is exotic in the way they look at things. I think it's in movies. People think, all the gangsters use the suppressors, but the fact is that in 1934, the National Firearm Act was passed, and that was mostly about machine guns, and it required a $200 tax stamp and a process called a Form 4, and a bunch of time for the government fingerprints and those kind of things. But they threw in suppressors, which is just a muffler, in the name of poaching. They were concerned about poaching. Well, we are 42 states use it for hunting. What's that concept of poaching? So it was just a way to throw it in, and that was the justification they used at the time. And here we are all these years later, and the rest of the world, well, lots of the rest of the world, you can just go get a suppressor. At SHOT Show one year, I had a wholesaler come in, and he was from New Zealand. And so I asked him, I said, what's the process in New Zealand to get a suppressor? And he goes, oh, it's easy. He says, you just order it online, they deliver it to your house. And New Zealand is not a gun-friendly country.
No, it's not.
But they recognize it as a hearing protection device.
Well, I tell you what, that's crazy. Now, Maggie, you were talking about the National Hearing Protection Act. I think we're going to have to come back to this later and have Scott back with us and the congressman as well. We should be talking about that.
Well, I can tell you that the Achilles heel to that, which I have a problem, is you'll never have 60 senators that will vote positive on a gun item. And it's all about 60 senators. The president can sign it. The House can do what they're going. You just don't have. You hardly have 50 senators when you look at rhinos and the other things that we've got that will support it. You got to have 60 senators.
We got an election. We got to start working on that.
Yeah, that's what we got to do. That's what we got to do.
Until that time, I tell you what, we need to let our podcast listeners know how they can learn more, because they can't see the link that's staring us on the face. Scott Morris, tell us how people can learn more about TiON, because we just scratched the surface.
Yes, and we're a little more difficult because we don't have a bunch of wholesalers running around promoting our suppressors, because we deal directly with dealers. But TiONinc.com, we have a dealer locator, but more importantly, because we only have so many dealers, that you can always contact us. And we can tell you that if you have a local dealer, we can work in setting them up. Or if the dealer is listening to this, we'd be happy to discuss getting them set up. So TiONinc.com, that's TiONinc, and TiON basically stands for titanium on. All we do is titanium, and we put them on guns. So that's where our firearms, that's where TiON came from. And so, yes, that's the way to get us.
Well, hell, we're going to excuse you because you got to make your way over to the CanCon preparation,
Yes,
and
sir.
we'll be following you, and we'll see if we can get out there to CanCon and meet up with you. Scott, you're going to be out east. You can do that for us, and Ursula goes every year here. And Maggie, I don't know, have you been out to CanCon?
No, I never have, and I'm jealous. I would love to go.
You ought to come see us.
I would love
Yeah.
that.
Yes. And we have some innovative new product we're going to be showing. We typically like to do it at those events because people can shoot it and try prototypes and things and get feedback. But thank you for letting me on. And I'm going to go to the CanCon one now.
All right. Hey, thanks so much. And there's more
You
to
betcha.
come from GunStuff.